Good evening, audience members. Today I speak on a matter that strikes at the heart of our justice system, a system that should be based on fairness, rehabilitation, and accountability. Yet there exists a powerful, money-hungry force that undermines these values, and this force is private prisons. Private prisons currently operate in the United States and other countries under contracts with government agencies. Despite numerous reports highlighting their failures, they continue to function, house inmates, and receive taxpayer dollars. This status quo persists due to legal contracts, lobbying influence, and a perceived notion of cost savings. Therefore, government inaction and entrenched interests are preventing necessary reform, making this issue inherently rooted in the current system. Private prisons should be eliminated. This resolution calls for the complete removal of private, for-profit prisons from our criminal justice system. It does not suggest reforming them or placing more regulations on them. It argues that these institutions, by their very nature, are incompatible with the values of justice, rehabilitation, and public accountability. Private prisons represent a fundamental conflict of interest. They turn incarceration into a business model. When profit is directly tied to the number of people behind bars, there is a built-in incentive to maintain or increase incarceration rates, rather than reduce them through rehabilitation or justice reform. This resolution recognizes that no amount of regulation or oversight can fully remove the corrupting influence of profit from a system meant to serve public good. My first contention is that private prisons are run by companies that make money by keeping their prisons full. This profit motive can conflict with goals like reducing repeat offenses or rehabilitating prisoners. If a company profits more when people are incarcerated longer or return after release, there's less incentive to support effective rehabilitation programs. According to Robert Craig, a professor in a law review at the University of Baltimore, today private prison corporations are driven by perverse and immoral incentives, whereby an increase in crime and an increase in the number of human beings placed into America's brutal prisons is good business news for that industry. Private prisons make money by charging the government a per-day inmate fee. The more inmates they house, the more money they make. So it's in their financial interest to keep their facilities full, lobby for longer sentences, and oppose criminal justice reforms that reduce prison populations. My second contention is that to increase profit margins, private prisons often cut corners. This includes underpaying staff, leading to a high turnover and undertrained personnel, skimping on medical care, and reducing access to food, hygiene, and rehabilitative programs. These cost-cutting measures have serious consequences: increased violence, preventable medical issues, and environments that dehumanize instead of heal. Inmates who are still human beings with rights are subjected to conditions that would be unacceptable in any other public institution. According to Mark Jay, a PhD candidate in the Department of Sociology at the University of California, Santa Barbara, two companies, GEO Group Incorporated and CoreCivic, manage more than half of the private prison contracts in the United States. Together in 2017, they had a combined revenue of $4 billion and a combined debt of $3.4 billion. Furthermore, Mark Jay talks about the 2016 rebellion that broke out in a Mississippi facility run by CoreCivic, which inmates described as primarily the result of conditions they felt had become increasingly dangerous and intolerable, including medical neglect, excessive use of segregation, spoiled food, a lack of interpreters, and a mistreatment of staff. So clearly, as we can see by this 2016 rebellion, that these corners are being cut, and it happens a lot more often than we probably realize. My third contention is that, unlike public prisons, private facilities are not held to the same transparency standards. They are run by private entities that are not required to disclose their practices, internal incidents, or budgetary decisions in the same way as publicly run institutions. This lack of oversight makes it difficult to hold them accountable for abuses, neglect, or mismanagement. Without public scrutiny, injustices can and do go unchecked. According to Andrea Headley, who has a PhD in public affairs in the International Journal of Humanities, Social Sciences, and Education, within the context of government and privatization, there are various incentives to conceal information from the public view. Thus, more efforts are needed to promote transparency and initiate government oversight in order to decrease secrecy. Within the prison context specifically, potential reasons to conceal information center around the pursuit of profit. This can lead to the misuse and abuse of power associated with human rights implications, fraud, bribery, and ethical violations. Private prisons do not serve the interests of justice, public safety, or rehabilitation. They serve the interests of shareholders and the corporate profit. Their very structure encourages the exploitation of human lives for financial gain, all while operating behind a veil of secrecy. For these reasons, we must eliminate private prisons and invest instead in a correctional system that prioritizes justice, transparency, and humanity. Thank you for listening.